Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, one and all. Thanks for being with us. We got you for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're enjoying today's broadcast, thanks so much for being a part of the audience. We look forward to hanging out with you these next 3 hours here on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzynski is off today. We've got 3 hours of sports talk, plenty to discuss on the docket today. And we're glad you're along for the ride here on this Wednesday. We're going to talk some Chiefs football. He is in the crosshairs of the Chiefs kingdom for his, and again, unless you're watching the show on our YouTube or on Facebook, you're going to have to imagine the air quotes I'm going to make when I'm going to say this next word, for his effort on the final meaningful play defensively for the Chiefs in their loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night. And not just for his effort on that play, but also for a lack of expected production through the first 5 weeks. Only 1 sack for the mayor of Sack Nation. Is that what he is? Is he the mayor? Is he the CEO? I always forget. I have trouble keeping that straight. I think he says CEO. Which I guess the sovereign nations, don't have mayors. Like he could say he was the president of Sac Nation, maybe the prime minister of Sac Nation. Anyway, neither here nor there. Chris Jones has not produced his first 5 games this season. What are the underlying numbers telling us about Chris Jones, and how much of his lack of production has to do with a lack of production around him? This is, after all, football, the ultimate team sport. We'll discuss that in the context of, I thought, what was a good question that came in late on our YouTube chat last night on the show. And came in as we were about 15 minutes away from wrapping up the program. We had other things we were discussing and didn't quite get to the discussion point. But should the Chiefs be maybe thinking about making an addition on the defensive line? Obviously, teams are open for business on the trade market. There's a lot of speculation that we're going to see a busy, active trade market prior to the NFL's trade deadline here in a couple of weeks. Should the Chiefs be looking for a defensive line addition? We'll talk about that on the program today. Also, the idea of defense in the clutch. Chiefs defense has not been clutch to start the season. How often were they clutch last year? They had a lot of opportunities. 12 one-score games, 12 one-score victories, after all, for the Chiefs. Affords you a lot of opportunity to close the deal defensively or offensively. How often did the Chiefs defense rise to that occasion last season? And should we expect that moving forward, they will be able to rise to the occasion this year? Plus, because it is a Wednesday, even though it's a short week for the Chiefs, with a quick turnaround from a Monday game to Sunday night football this coming week against the Detroit Lions, Wednesday means we heard from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So we'll bring you their post-practice press conference remarks a little bit later on this first hour of the show. So we're Chiefs heavy to lead things off. We're going to talk K-State in hour number 2. Obviously, it's a Wednesday. That means we do Wildcat Wrap-Up with Tim Fitzgerald at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. That's an every Wednesday thing around here. We talk to Fitz of GoPowerCat.com. Get his perspective on the question we'll tackle at the top of the hour. Is there any salvaging the 2025 football season for Kansas State? And maybe your answer to that depends on how you define salvage. Kansas State still capable of winning some football games the second half of the season? I think they are. How many do they have to win to make this season not feel like, to be frank, a disaster? Because right now, it kind of feels like a disaster. Is 6-6 good enough to make it feel like less of a total disaster? Does it depend on which 4 you get? Or do they have to run the rack or close to it to feel like they made something out of what looks like a very bad situation unfolding through the first half of this 2025 season in Manhattan? We'll discuss that a little bit later on in the show. And a broader NFL thought, I sort of tossed this out idly on Monday's show and got some good response to it. So we'll discuss it a little bit more in depth later on. Does it feel like anybody has separated themselves from the pack in the NFL? Usually it doesn't take real long to feel like you've got a clear-cut favorite or favorites. Like, you've kind of taken it for granted, perhaps, but the Chiefs have felt that way out of the gate more often than not throughout the course of this dynastic run. I guess the exception would probably be, well, certainly this year's an exception, but the exception might be back in 2021 when they started 2-3, just like they have this year. And that team ended up going 12-5. They were an overtime away from returning to the Super Bowl. But 5 games in, they didn't feel like a clear-cut favorite in the AFC. I don't know that anybody feels like a clear-cut favorite right now. Maybe you disagree. Maybe there's a team that you've been more impressed with than I have. Maybe I'm too much of a glass half empty guy when it comes to looking at the rest of the NFL. We'll get into that later on in the show. Plus, our typical Wednesday shenanigans. We'll do a little One Gotta Go later on in the show. We've got 580 Sports Talk headlines, including something that the NCAA is about to allow that is such a bad idea. I can't even believe it. The NCAA is about to do something very, very stupid. I know you've heard that before, but they're about to do something very, very stupid. And we'll get into that in headlines plus a playoff roundup. We'll do What Is Wrong With You. It has been an unbelievable week. There are stories that haven't made it into What Is Wrong With You yet this week and may not. They may stay on the cutting room floor that would have won some weeks and maybe even a month. I'm just telling you, the crazy is coming out of people here in the month of October. So we got 2 more stories on What Is Wrong With You to get to as well. And we want to hear from you on the show today. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. 785-272-9429. You can also interact in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Again, our stretch goal is 900 subscribers. We feel a long way from that now, but we get closer with every subscription, and all it costs you is a click or a tap of your screen. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. When we get to 900 total subscribers, we're going to do 580 Sports Talk karaoke. That's a promise. It's not a threat. It'll be fun. And you'll get involved in it because you'll be the ones submitting the songs. So 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And if you are watching the program on YouTube today, hop in that live chat and say hello. Interact with us. Interact with your fellow listeners. Mark H. is in the chat early today, along with Andrew. Trevor, good to see you. And Christopher's in with the camel emojis appropriate on this hump day edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being here. Look forward to hearing from and seeing more of you join us throughout the day in that live chat. Great way to make your voice heard on the program, and a great way, again, to interact with your fellow listeners and grow the 580 Sports Talk community. Before we get into Chris Jones, I have another keyword for the day, for the hour, our fall cash contest over at 580wibw.com. In case you've missed it, we're giving away $2,000 every weekday, the rest of this week and through next week. And all you have to do is listen every hour and go find the keyword or listen for the keyword. Go find the place to enter it on our website, 580wibw.com. Enter the keyword each hour. The more keywords you get, the more hours that you enter, the more raffle tickets you buy, essentially, and the better chance you have to win $2,000 at 580wibw.com. Your keyword for the 3 o'clock hour today, so this keyword is good for the remainder of this hour. You go enter it at 580wibw.com and get yourself registered for a chance to win that $2,000. The keyword is grow. 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 That's your keyword for this hour on the Fall Cash Sweepstakes. Again, that's over at 580wibw.com. Chris Jones put a very, very bad rep on tape, if I may use the parlance of the game. At the end of the Chiefs' 31-28 loss to Jacksonville on Monday night. You have probably all seen the play by now. If you have not seen it, I'll do my best to describe to you what Chris Jones did on the play that ended up being Trevor Lawrence's 1-yard touchdown run that won the game. A play that you'll recall started with Trevor Lawrence falling down on his backside on his drop back and then getting up, scurrying to his left, running through the arm tackle of Jerry Tillery. I'm still more upset at Tillery for the play. And again, none of this really mattered because they would have gotten half a yard closer because Brian Cook got flagged for holding on the play anyway. So even a stop, even an alert Chris Jones effort would have been for naught. Doesn't excuse it, just saying. That play was the touchdown. And if you haven't seen it, let me do my best to describe it to you. Are you familiar with the idea of playing a video game and you control a player on the field? And what might happen if you just didn't touch the controller for a play? And your player just stands there and watches the play happen. Just don't touch the controller. Turn your character into an NPC effectively. That is what happened with Chris Jones. Didn't really chase the play at a level that was particularly acceptable. You'll hear from Andy Reid here in a little bit. Andy saw it. He's aware, and he's not any happier about it than you or me or anyone else. So it's a bad rep on tape, and it's a bad look for Chris Jones. And the other thing that's a bad look for Chris Jones through 5 weeks of this NFL season is the fact that he has 1 sack. And for the president, founder, and CEO of Sack Nation, 1 sack in 5 games, it's not exactly living up to that level of billing. Sack numbers don't always tell the whole story. We talked about this throughout last year because the Chiefs did not produce a lot of sacks last season after producing a whole heap of sacks the previous few years. Last year, they dipped in the sack rankings as a team, but they were still generating pressure. We talked about it throughout the season. They were still generating pressures. They were still winning pass rush reps. That affects quarterbacks. Even if you don't get the sack, even if you don't get the big negative play, if you win a rep, if you record a pressure, chances are that had a positive impact for your team, whether that forced the quarterback to throw inaccurately or scramble for fewer yards than the play might have gotten had it been the regularly scheduled pass play, or you force a turnover with a bad throw. Pressures matter. They don't go on the stat sheet like sacks do, but they matter. How many pressures do you suppose Chris Jones has in 5 weeks? I'm going to let you guys think and guess. How many pressures you suppose Chris Jones has through 5 weeks with 1 sack? Obviously, the sack counts as the pressure because he got the sack. How many pressures do you suppose he has? According to the ESPN analytics and their stat tracking of the pressure stat, he has 13. Or excuse me, I'm ahead of myself. 13 is a different number, a different good number for Chris Jones. According to PFF, this is where I got the pressure number from. Chris Jones this season has responsible through 5 games for 20 quarterback pressures. And among 186 defensive linemen who have played enough snaps to qualify for PFF's rankings, Chris Jones's 20 pressures rank him second among interior defensive linemen. 20 pressures, 4 per game. That's a clean average for you. 4 pressures per game through the first 5 weeks. I read that number 13. This is where that number is from. That is the number of pass rush wins he has had this season. That is according to the ESPN analytics. A pass rush win is when you are able to defeat your blocker in less than 2.5 seconds and cleanly get by or get past or get around or over or through your blocker. Chris Jones has 13 pass rush wins through 5 weeks. Now, how can a pass rush win be different than a pressure? It's the time difference. A pass rush win happens within the first 2.5 seconds. That's typically how long it takes for the ball to come out. Well, the Chiefs, they're good on the back end, right? So if coverage is good, if the zone windows aren't big, or if the man coverage is sticky, then the quarterback's going to take longer than 2.5 seconds to throw the ball. And that's where a lot of Chris Jones's pressures are coming. They're coming late instead of coming early. But 13 pass rush wins for Chris Jones, that ranks him third among all interior defensive linemen in the NFL. And his win rate, which is number of pressures divided by number of reps, is fourth among interior defensive linemen. The company he keeps is elite company. Jeffrey Simmons of the Titans, who is awesome. Malik Collins of the Browns, who is awesome. Milton Williams, Patriots, awesome. Calais Campbell is fifth in this stat. Future Hall of Famer, maybe. I would argue for him, and not just because he's a Denver guy. And sixth is Jalen Carter. So those are the top 6 interior defensive linemen when it comes to pass rush win rate. Chris Jones ranks fourth in the NFL through 5 weeks. And that is with performance and play that we are watching and deeming to be not acceptable, or not up to the level that we have come to expect. If anything, that should tell you how high the bar is for Chris Jones. But at the end of the day, you don't get paid for your pass rush win rate. In part you do, but you don't get paid for how many pressures PFF says you get. You get paid for putting the quarterback on his wallet. And Chris Jones has been one of the best of his era at doing that. And last year, if you go back and look at last year's numbers, total pressures, total pass rush wins, win rate, they all looked really good for Chris Jones. But he only had 5 sacks last season. And this year, he's on pace for about 3.5. I'm 1 in 5 weeks. You play 17 games. Yeah, roughly 3.5 sacks. Would be a career low. So what then do we make of Chris Jones based on those numbers? Do we maybe feel like some of the lack of production for Jones is down to a lack of good help around him? I certainly think that was the case against Jacksonville. I think the Jaguars leaned on him in a way that most teams don't. And look, everybody knows Chris Jones is good. Everybody respects his ability to wreck a game, but it still is noteworthy that the Jaguars double-teamed Chris Jones on more of his pass rush snaps than he had been double-teamed in any other game this season. And when you are getting double-teamed repeatedly over and over again, that makes it a little tougher to make the kind of impact on a game that we're accustomed to seeing Chris Jones make. But why can you double-team Chris Jones? If you're not as worried about who's lining up next to him. And right now in the trenches, why would you be? On a pass rush rep, who scares you right now for the Chiefs, other than Jones and George Karlaftis, who's always coming off the edge anyway? George, by the way, 23 pressures through 5 weeks this season. That is tops on the Chiefs ahead of Jones's 20. But Charles Omenihu is off to a slow start. And Mike Dana's just now back in the lineup. And Ashton Gelati is still a rookie. And Omar Norman-Lott is still a rookie and didn't play this past week. And nobody else has really given you anything. Jerry Tillery, 1 sack. And the most I've noticed him all season was that sack and him missing the tackle on Trevor Lawrence on Monday night. Other than that, I barely know he's on the team. What is it you say you do here, Jerry Tillery? Derek Nottie, just a rush down defender. That's fine. But this defensive tackle group in particular is not providing enough juice next to Chris Jones to make teams think even twice about double teaming the president, CEO, and founder of Sack Nation. So I would expect you're going to see a lot more of that moving forward, unless you've got teams who have a really good guard and feel like you can handle him one-on-one on some reps. I think Jones is always going to get double teamed more than his share, right? Like he's the guy that you double team. You're not double teaming Karlaftis. All due respect to him. You're not double teaming anyone else. If you're double teaming, it's Chris Jones. But even knowing that, this past Monday was a high volume of double teaming going on relative to the previous 4 games with regards to Chris Jones. So, I say all that to ask this question. Do the Chiefs need to be seriously looking at an upgrade at defensive tackle? If they can find one. That's the thing. Like, pass rushing defensive tackles, if they grew on trees, every team would have more than one of them. I don't know that there's a piece out there that's going to represent a meaningful upgrade. Even though I don't think it would be real hard to upgrade over Jerry Tillery, I don't know that you're finding a meaningful upgrade on the trade market as it currently stands. So do you ride with the guys you got? Do you bank on the continued improvement and hopefully the return to health of Omar Norman-Lott, who practiced today and is hopefully on track for a return to the lineup on Sunday after missing the game against the Jaguars? Or do you seriously look at that? Or do you look at defensive end? Do you look at bringing in another edge rusher, allowing you to more often bring a Menahu inside on passing downs, where I think he can still do a little bit of damage, even though he has not been impressive to start this season? But that's the question, because it looks like from the underlying numbers, Chris Jones can still impact the game as a pass rusher. But those splashy plays, those big negatives, those sacks that we're used to seeing Chris Jones get, a lot of reasons those are slow in coming, but sure kind of feels like one of those reasons is not enough good help around him right now. We're going to take a quick break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, the Chiefs defense in the clutch hasn't been real clutch this year. How often were they really clutch last year, though? It's an interesting question. You might be surprised by the answer. Then we're going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and their media availability, because I thought both had a lot of interesting things to say coming out of Monday's loss. That's all coming up on this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being here. 3:32 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting underway. So the Chiefs have lost 3 games this year, and in all 3 games, the Chiefs defense has had an opportunity to either get a stop and get the ball into the hands of Patrick Mahomes in a one-score game or protect the lead, as was the case on Monday night. And all 3 times they have failed at that objective. They could not get the Eagles off the field in week 2. They could not get the Chargers off the field on 3rd and long in week 1 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And they could not stop the Jaguars from going 60 yards with less than 2 minutes to play on Monday night. And I mentioned on yesterday's show, it felt like every time they needed that last year, they got it. They got the big defensive stop to go secure a game. And it feels like over the years, a lot of times it's been Chris Jones to make that play, to make a big sack, to short circuit a drive, to either finish the game or get the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands so that the best group on the team can go finish the game. So I went back and looked at last year because the Chiefs played in 12 one-score games last year, as you will doubtless recall, and they won every single one of them. And in week 1 against Baltimore, well, I don't know how you can say the defense was clutch when that game came down to Isaiah Likely's shoe size, but they did get the stop. Count it. 1 crunch time stop for the Chiefs defense. Week 2 against Cincinnati, they were trailing. Shamari Connor came up with a big sack on 3rd down with about 3.5 minutes to go. That enabled the Chiefs to get the ball back and drive for the winning field goal. Week 3 against Atlanta, the defense was on the field for the decisive moment. Falcons had 3rd and 1, nearing the red zone. Drew Tranquil stopped Tyler Algier on 3rd and 1. Nick Bolton and Leo Chenal dropped Bijan Robinson for a big loss on 4th down. That was a drive, by the way. I was looking at the play-by-play data. I had forgotten. The Chiefs were up by 5, so they needed to keep Atlanta out of the end zone. They committed 3 penalties defensively on that drive. 3 penalties. Still managed to get the stop. Overcame their own mistakes. Week 4 last year against the Chargers, it was Chris Jones in that game. He had a 3rd down sack with 4 minutes left. Chargers punted. Chiefs got a 1st down, ran out the clock. Week 7 against Vegas doesn't really apply. That was the first meeting against the Raiders. That was really a 2-score game where the Raiders scored a garbage time touchdown. That doesn't really count. Throw that one out. Tampa, Monday Night Football, week 9. Defense didn't get the job done. Gave up the game-tying drive at the end of regulation. Week 10 against the Broncos. Defense didn't really hold up their end of the bargain. The special team sure did. Leo Chenal blocked the field goal to win the game. Week 12 against Carolina. Defense didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Not only did they give up the game-tying touchdown, they gave up the game-tying 2-point conversion on Carolina's final drive of regulation. Chiefs won the toss in overtime, or rather, Chiefs would drive down and win the game. That was not overtime. Tampa was overtime. Carolina was not. Chiefs would go down, had enough time for Mahomes to have the ball, do something meaningful, go win the game. The Black Friday game against Vegas, give the defense credit for being right place, right time. That was more of a Raiders oopsie, but Chiefs defense got the stop. Week 14 against the Chargers. Chargers kicked the go-ahead field goal on their final drive of the game. There was enough time for Mahomes to get the ball back, drive it down the field, and for Matthew Wright to hit the doink for the division. Week 15 against Houston, it was Joshua Williams who made the big defensive play. Had a 3rd down sack with 4.5 minutes to go. Chiefs got the ball back, didn't give it back. They won that game by 8. And then the AFC Championship game, that was a team effort. That was that full house blitz on Josh Allen. He flung it down the field. Dalton Kincaid couldn't come up with it, and that was the end of that game. So in 8 of the 11 one-score wins last season, if you toss the first Raiders game, because that was a 2-score game in 1-score game clothing, toss that one. Given a chance to put the game away, 8 times the Chiefs defense got the stop. Although, if you want to credit to the special teams against Denver, and you want to credit to Vegas screwing up on Black Friday, and if you want to credit to Isaiah Likely having a shoe 1 size too big in week 1, that's fine too. So it's 5 of the 11 one-score wins last season that the Chiefs defense made the plays, made a big play to secure a win, or at the very least, give the ball back to the offense so that the offense could secure the win. So the primary difference this year is not, the defense is less clutch. The defense was a 50-50 proposition to go make a play on their own last year to go win a game. The primary difference this season has been the offense for other teams has been able to run out the clock. that the Chiefs have not given Patrick Mahomes a meaningful, realistic opportunity to put together a game-winning drive. They almost had one on Monday, if not for the penalty on special teams. But that's been the biggest difference in the 0-3 start in these games that are one-score games, is we haven't really seen Patrick Mahomes decide one of them yet. And if that doesn't change, I would still expect the results long-term to change. I don't think the Chiefs are going to go 0-12 in one-score games this year, but you feel a lot better with 15 on the field at the end, don't you? Speaking of number 15, we'll hear from him and we'll hear from Andy Reid next segment here on 580 Sports Talk. I've spent about the last 3.5 hours of 580 Sports Talk programming telling you what's wrong with the Chiefs. Now let's hear it direct from the sources. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes both spoke to the media earlier today. We'll start by hearing from Big Red.
There are no injuries to talk about right now. Everybody's going to go today. Look forward to the challenge of playing the Lions. Good football team. They're playing very well right now. Dan's done a nice job with that crew over the last few years here. So, but we look forward to the challenge. Look forward to playing at GEH Field at Arrowhead Stadium. So, time's yours.
Coach, the decision to punt on the first drive on 4th and 2, you've been pretty aggressive. You've gone for it in that spot. What was your thinking on that one?
Yeah, I just thought, it's subjective. So I thought it was the right thing to do at that time. We have been aggressive, but I thought field position would end up being a big thing in this, in that game. So I chose to do that.
On the field position side of things, the penalties on special teams, that really did hurt you.
Yeah, too much.
Big kind of theme. Is there anything you can look at, or it's common theme there?
Yeah, I always go back just to the basics. The angles that you take are so big on special teams. To put yourself in position to block, and you're doing it in space, so you got to be very disciplined that you don't let your hands grab any cloth and so on. So you got to be real careful with that. So, but just the best way to do it is you go out and practice fast with it. That's what we'll do. Try to put guys in, try to get them where they get it the right angles and get in the right position.
What was your message or the coaching staff's message to Chris about that final play?
Yeah, well, you can't think that the guy's down. I mean, you can't think that. You got to just play the play. He knows. I mean, he's been around this thing a long time, so that's really what it came down to. Yeah.
On that, he deleted his social media. I mean, I know you're not coach on social media, but you have any message to the guys in general about that? Because that is a big thing, with everybody. You can kind of get in your head and everything. Do you have any message to the guys in general, or to Chris specifically, about social media and everything that's out there?
No.
Is one of the biggest surprises through these first 5 games just the amount of uncharacteristic self mistakes, self errors?
We got to take care of that, Nate. That's something we got to fix, and it's getting us right now, and you can't do that. So again, best way to do it is you go out and you practice it and make sure you get yourself working on those things that have been causing the problems.
Andy, what concerns you most about the Detroit Lions? They've won 4 straight, hottest team in the league.
Yeah, well deserved too. I mean, they're playing good football, good solid defense, flying around. Offense, they've been very effective offensively, point wise and execution wise. So they haven't had the self-inflicted wounds, as much as some other teams. So you know that they're not going backwards. And so we've got to make sure we take care of business, stay aggressive, and on both sides of the ball and special teams for that matter.
Yeah. What do you see from the Lions' offense and defensive lines?
Yeah, they're strong in both those spots. I think that's been well documented. So they're good offensive line. Been together a while, and they do a good job in the run and the pass game. And then defensively, likewise, they're solid in the pass game. Got a good scheme. They're good in the run game, so they cover their gaps and so on. Yeah.
Well, good. I say it here enough you. I get he seemed to sort of in his own way break out a little bit in this past game. What went right for him? I guess.
I thought he did a good job, not only running but catching the ball, blocking when he was asked to. So he got a little bit more play time, which I think is good. Kind of get him into the swing of things, and that helped. At the same time, Kareem had a good day. So.
Andy, when it comes down to the one-score games, had so much success last season, obviously started at 0-3. Do you detail just problems like uncharacteristically or something? Would you say you detail?
That's this league right now. I mean, there's so much parity, and you got to. That's why when I mentioned after the game the penalties, turnovers, so on. You can't have those. Games are too close. Too much competition, equal competition. So you gotta take care of business there. My responsibility to make sure that's done.
Blair?
Andy, what do you make of some of the struggles that Harrison Butker's having this year?
Yeah, I think like any golfer, right? You guys have all golfed, and sometimes you're hitting it good, and other times it's off. But you work through it. You keep swinging, man, and he'll do that. He's a talented kid, tough, mentally tough. So not really worried about him. Yeah.
Todd?
Coach, when you're facing someone like the Lions, and I don't know what all the data says, it seems like they're pretty aggressive as well, 4th downs, things like that. Do you match aggressiveness with other opponents, home, road? I mean, how do you guys kind of go through that part of it when you're getting ready?
Yeah, listen, I just make a judgment. It doesn't matter necessarily who we're playing that way. I just try to make a judgment on from what I go into the game thinking a certain thing, and then do it. And then if there's one that I haven't thought about, probably still do it.
The last 2 surrenders and Sam. What's right?
Coach, I know you talked about Isaiah. Kareem had a pretty good day. The running game overall. Jacksonville came in, I think, 3-4 against the run. Was that maybe one of the messages? Was that like a challenge to those guys? Not necessarily from you, but just running backs in general, the offensive line. The biggest statement.
Yeah, their defense was ranked up there now. I mean, they're number one in a lot of categories, and the guys move the ball effectively, but the stat part doesn't matter. It's points. You got to score more than the other team, and we didn't get that done. But there were some good things that took place. The O-line did a nice job. The running backs did a nice job. But we've had a couple self-inflicted wounds there, and you can't do that.
Sam?
Maybe this is related, but you did put up almost 500 yards of offense. When you go back and watch, or even, in live version as well, what stood out to you most about the recent live?
Yeah. When we didn't have the issues, I thought the guys executed well. We had penalty, and anyways, the interception, all those things that went on, it negates some of that. But overall, I thought our execution was pretty good. But you gotta score more points, right?
That's the head coach. How about QB1? Here's Patrick Mahomes from earlier today at One Arrowhead Drive.
So much success in those one-score games last year, and this one is just for execution. Or what do you attribute to it, the one-score games that you guys just haven't been as good as you were last year?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Pretty much execution, just little things here and there. We're just not making winning football plays in certain moments. And if it goes down to the interception in the red zone that I throw, I mean, that's a 14-point swing. And so I feel like we've played better these last few weeks. But in this league, it's going to come down to one-score games. That's what Coach Reed preaches right when we start off training camp every single year. And it's about who executes at a higher level. And we haven't done that as a team throughout these first 5-6 weeks.
How do you reconcile, being able to put 500 yards of offense up, but then, there are some of the mistakes that are costing you in big spots?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's positives on how we've progressed as an offense, but like I said, I think more than anything, it's about making winning plays. And so in years past, we might not have had so much success offensively, but we've made those winning plays whenever it's counted. And so I think that we have to get back to doing that. I mean, obviously we want the offense to continue to progress, but when we get in these high leverage, high intense moments, we gotta execute at a higher level, and that starts with me, and it kind of feeds throughout the rest of the team.
You were pretty honest in saying that it's too many losses already for you guys. Just how do you view this week, this game before?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I mean, there's no way around it. This is a really good football team that we're going to play. They play extremely hard, and they have a mentality. They're going to come in and win a football game, and so we have to match that intensity. We have to match that mentality, and then knowing that it's going to take our best football, everybody, offense, defense, and special teams, and we got to go out there and prove it on Sunday. And so we got to start off with a great week of practice, and then come in with the mentality, and we're going to find a way, no matter how it looks, that we're going to find a way to get a win.
You said after the game that you got to find a way to make the tackle on that interception, or at least slow them up. Andy hadn't been willing to run you on the quarterback sneak. There are some quarterbacks that are told don't take part in that. You're too valuable to let that happen. What does Andy tell you about when that happens, making a tackle? Is he telling you to get in there and get him, or is he telling you to get out of the way?
He's never told me anything like that. But I mean, regardless, I'm a football player more than a quarterback, and I got to find a way to tackle the guy, or at least slow him down so other guys can get there. And playing that quarterback position after interceptions is, I mean, first off, it's your mistakes. You gotta find a way to limit the mistake, and then you're kind of in that safety type position where it's kind of you and then no one else. And so, got to be better in that situation, obviously, and try to slow them down if get a hand on them or anything like that, just so someone else can get there and make that tackle and let our defense bail us out of a bad mistake.
We didn't ask you after the game about the zero play to tackle on in the first quarter there. What did you see on that part?
Yeah, we knew they had some kind of different fronts there on that third and medium type range, and we had a good plan for it. They actually gave us an unscouted look in that situation as well. That's why they kind of got through there. But we knew when they did that, they leveled and flat-footed, kind of thinking the balls would come out fast. And I've always been of the mindset if they're going to blitz, we got to be aggressive and throw the ball down the field. It's like your best opportunity to do that. And so give a guy a chance on the field. And I didn't get far enough, but Taekwon did a great job coming back and adjusting to the ball and making a play.
It's only a month into the season, but are you still seeing unscouted looks pretty regularly? You feel like you don't see on tape from other teams?
I mean, everybody always adjusts their stuff here and there. But I thought they did a good job. They gave a couple. I mean, really, I think it was about those two unscouted looks that they had situationally, and that's what defenses are going to do. It's about you being able to adjust on the fly and be able to make the right protection calls and stuff like that. And so that happens every game. I think that it was just big moments where it was a big play, one our way and one their way with the unscouted looks.
On that throw, were you able to see it land, or were you on your back by then? Because it sure looked like you were almost over by the time you let it go.
I didn't see it necessarily land, but I could see he came up with the. I don't know how to even explain it. I kind of could see through people's feet and stuff like that he caught the ball. So just giving guys chances down the field. We had talked about all week. I told the guys, like, if they bring the pressure in this situation, I'm gonna throw the ball down the field and let y'all make a play. And he accepted that challenge and went up there and made a play.
Is it a weird sensation though to be like essentially on your back as the play is happening?
I think you kind of get used to it at quarterback. So a lot of times you're throwing the ball, you're getting hit, you're trying to hang into the last possible second. And so I've never even thought of it, honestly. So it usually is where I am at whenever a big play happens.
Patrick, what impresses you about Kelvin Shepard's defense that he's running and a guy that's been a part of the school span?
Yeah, no, I think he does a great job of the game planning, kind of like we were talking about the unscouted looks, doing stuff that's specific to each and every team. He puts his guys in positions so they can play fast and play hard. And you can tell they respect him by how hard they do play. And so I don't know if that's being a former player or whatever it is, but he gets the best out of his guys. And so it'll be a great challenge for us. We got to match the intensity. We got to match the intensity of going up against a Detroit Lions football team and a Detroit Lions defense. And so it'll be a great challenge for us.
Just talked about the intensity and everything. And earlier, the first game, there's talk about like, hey, you didn't have, the emotion and everything that you wanted. You had the best game for the running backs, today. They seem to have the intensity. How much did that carry forward, and how much did that drive the offense, at least the yardage success you guys have?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we're able to run the ball like that and then being able to play action and do bootlegs and stuff like that off of the run game, it really just opens up the entire offense. And I thought both those guys, all three of them, really ran really hard when they got the ball in their hands. And so it's just finding ways to put them in positions to succeed. And I thought the offensive line did a great job of, you could tell their chemistry, because pass blocking is one thing, but run blocking, it's a lot of chemistry and trading off blocks. You can tell that stuff's building with time and with more and more reps. And so I think it'll continue to get better and better as the season goes on, and those guys will continue to have more and more success.
Do you want to be this team's leading rusher?
However we win football games, I don't care how that looks, but it doesn't look like that's helping us right now. So if the other guys get running and we start winning football games, I'll take that.
Patrick, just outside the record, how do you feel about the offensive trajectory right now?
We're getting better. I mean, that's all you can do is we're getting better and better. And obviously, we got one more week that we'll continue to add Rasheed. So just getting him into the offense as well. But at the end of the day, it's all about winning. And so I think if we can start making those winning plays, that's the last step that we need in order to take our offense to the next step.
Patrick, you've basically grown up in this social media age, right? So after the game, I guess Chris deleted some of his social media because people didn't like the last play. Taekwon talked to us a couple weeks ago about when he was young and struggling. It was not good for him. How do you handle that? Do you have advice for younger players or anyone on the team on kind of how you deal with that during the year?
Yeah, I mean, it can be toxic for sure. I mean, being on social media and seeing stuff, but I mean, to me, at the end of the day, I know who I am and I know the amount of work that I put in, and I can live with myself and live with the results. And so I feel like if you're putting in the work and you're doing whatever you can to leave everything on the football field, you can live with the results of a win, loss, or whatever anyone has to say, because you know the type of effort that you're putting in every single day. And so stay off it as much as possible. And then if you are going to be on it, I would use it as motivation more than anything.
That was Patrick Mahomes. We'll take a timeout, come back and wrap up the hour. 580 Sports Talk. Back to wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. We got two more to go. Most striking thing about Patrick Mahomes' comments, I thought, repeated use of the term winning plays, as in that's what the Chiefs aren't making. They are capable of making great plays on both sides of the ball. But you got to make them in the clutch. You got to make them in winning time. That's what makes them winning plays. I don't think the Chiefs have suddenly forgotten how to make winning plays. They just haven't. That's how you get to 2-3. There's a team in Manhattan that maybe doesn't know how to make winning plays. We're going to talk about them in the next hour. How can K-State, is it even possible to salvage 2025? We'll ask Tim Fitzgerald on the Wildcat Wrap-Up what he thinks as well. Plus, what is wrong with you? Coming up in the next hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis here with you until 6 o'clock. Got the Chris Kleiman show coming up tonight, 7 p.m. Maybe Chris Kleiman will be there this week. He has not previous couple of weeks. And he explained why. He talked about it at his Monday press conference, but not sure if it will be Chris Kleiman, but there will be a show talking about Kansas State football from 7 to 8 tonight here on 580 WIBW.
Seems kind of cryptic.
Well, yes. I mean, he did. He addressed it directly, and he gave a reason for it. But, yeah, if it's your show and you're not coming to it repeatedly, it does. It raises some questions. It raises more questions. But we're going to talk some K-State football this hour. It's not been, obviously, the most pleasant topic of discussion as Kansas State is out to a 2-4 start. But we'll ask the question, is there any way this thing can be salvaged? Is there any way to steer out of this skid and turn 2025 into, if not a positive, at least not the Titanic hitting the iceberg? Obviously, that's a little extreme, but it has not been good, and it is on the brink of what qualifies as a disaster for that program. And we'll ask if there's any way out of the skid. We'll talk amongst ourselves. We'll put it to you, the listener. Want to hear from you throughout the hour. Again, the text line is 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Also, of course, comment in the YouTube live chat if you are watching the program on our YouTube stream today. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Particularly interested from hearing from K-State fans. Is there any finish to this season that would leave you feeling confident about the future direction of the program? That's what I want to know. Is there any way that the Kansas State Wildcats can finish 25 where you feel like, okay, the first 6 games were just a blip, things feel like they're back on course?
I don't know. I feel like we had this topic of discussion last year, just with the other side of the state. I feel like
you're beating me to it. You're jumping the line. Let's hold that thought. I appreciate it, but hold the thought. Anyway, also want to make sure we get the fall cash keyword out to you this hour. Again, we have our fall cash contest going on at 580WIBW.com. You're eligible to win if you are not one of our employees or related to one of our employees. So if my father-in-law says things, sorry, you can't win. Sorry. Anyway, we've got the contest going, 580WIBW.com. You go over there every hour. We've got a new keyword every hour of the day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you can enter once an hour with the keyword for the hour. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a winner of $2,000. Same for tomorrow and Friday. Same for every weekday next week. We're giving away $2,000 a day every weekday through next Friday. And you need a keyword for this hour to go enter at 580WIBW.com. And that keyword is help. Help. H-E-L-P. Help is the keyword.
Maybe you could help some people out if you win those $2,000.
Yeah, $2,000 would be a big help to some of you. It would go a long way for me, man. I'll tell you what, I could use $2,000.
I could get myself a PS5 that I've been thinking about and talking about on the show forever.
You absolutely could. $2,000 still go a long way these days. Even with the tariffs, you still do pretty good with $2,000 in your pocket. So anybody could use it. Anybody could use that help, and that is the keyword this hour. Help. Go enter the keyword help. You have until 5 o'clock to enter that keyword at 580WIBW.com. Also this hour, we got What Is Wrong With You? Maybe. We need another story, Spencer. We got to get another story in. And Tim Fitzgerald will join us bottom of this hour. We'll ask him all the questions that we're going to gnaw on here this segment regarding K-State and their football program and looking ahead to Saturday's contest against the Horned Frogs of TCU, a 2:30 kickoff at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. K-State is 2-4. That is well documented. They are 2-4 despite a season-long point differential of +1. Their 4 losses are by a combined 13 points, and there is certainly an element of that. It comes down to just the margins are not falling kindly for Kansas State this season. Chris Kleiman's career record in one-score games at K-State, by the way, right at 500, 16-16. So it's been right on that pivot point. Sometimes you win the close ones, sometimes you lose the close ones. That's what you would probably expect over time for programs that do not have distinct either talent advantages or talent disadvantages. And the fact of the matter is that Kansas State has not had and is not, frankly, likely to ever have a distinct talent advantage. Because when I talk about a distinct talent advantage, what I'm really talking about is like Alabama. Alabama should win all the one-score games because they're Alabama. They got better players than you. Oregon should win all the one-score games. They got better players than you. Georgia should win all the one-score games. Ohio State should win all the one-score games. If it comes down to the margins, talent finds a way. But when the talent is even, sometimes else. Sometimes it's got to be your receiver streaking towards the end zone. He gets his helmet ripped off from behind, and the touchdown doesn't stand because they got to blow the play dead, and you end up not scoring a touchdown, and you lose the game by a single point, which is what happened to Kansas State on Saturday. Flip side of that, you got the ball down to the 2-yard line. Score the damn touchdown. Because there are a lot of things that have not fallen kindly, things that have been out of Kansas State's control, but they have not been good enough at the stuff they control. And that is how you get to a 2-4 record. You are not good enough often enough at the things that you control. TCU comes to town on Saturday. I don't think there's a talent disparity there, a great deal of a talent disparity between Kansas State and TCU, which means I think Kansas State can win the game. Then they have the bye, then they go to KU. I think Kansas State can win that game because I have been alive since 2009. And I know how those games have gone since 2009. So that's why I believe Kansas State can win that game. Also, again, not a distinct talent disparity between Kansas State and Kansas. Kansas State hosts Texas Tech. That might be the talent disparity game. Texas Tech might have that kind of team here in 2025. They definitely seem to have that kind of defense. I know Baron Morton's put up really shiny numbers. I still can't buy all the way in on him. I don't know. Maybe that's a me problem. But certainly defensively, I am all in on Texas Tech. Just has more dudes than you on that side of the ball. So that might be a game, even at home, that might be beyond K-State salvaging. Then they go to Oklahoma State. There's a talent disparity there. It's in Kansas State's favor, even though the trips to Stillwater in recent years have been deeply unpleasant. Kansas State should still go to Stillwater and win that game. Hey, Utah comes to town. Utah's going to be better in the trenches than K-State is. That may prove to be the different, or rather, K-State goes to Utah. That's a road game. That's in Salt Lake. Kansas State will have trouble in that one because there is a talent disparity, at least in the trenches. And then the home finale is against Colorado, and Kansas State is better based on what I've seen. And I've watched, I always keep a keen eye on Colorado football because that was the team of my youth. And I have a lot of friends who went to the University of Colorado and are big fans. So I always keep an eye on them. I watch more of them than probably any other non-KU, K-State Big 12 team. And Kansas State's better than they are. They got better players. So there you go. That's the rest of the schedule for Kansas State, which is my way of saying best case scenario probably looks like 5-1 if you can upset Utah and win the Sunflower Showdown. 5-1 is within the realm of possibility. More likely outcome 4-2, which means you just barely get to a bowl. I hear Shreveport's lovely in December. Anything less than that, you lose another coin flip game to TCU or Kansas or Utah or Colorado, and you're having yourself a very, very long December and a winter of, no denying it, discontent among Kansas State fans. So just on paper, can this thing be salvaged? Well, yeah, because again, I don't think that the talent disparity is so great between Kansas State and anybody they play with, again, the possible, I would even call it probable at this point, distinction between Texas Tech and the rest of the field. But part of winning games is knowing how to win games. That sounds like a silly thing to say, but crunch time ability, confidence in winning games, you see it over and over again with teams if they have a surprise season, if they overperform, a lot of it comes down to how do they do in the close games. And part of performing in close games is believing you're going to perform in close games, believing that the good thing is going to happen for you, believing that you're going to finish that drive with a touchdown inside the 5-yard line and take a touchdown lead on the road inside the final 2 minutes, like Kansas State had a chance to do against Baylor. So for me, it is as much a question of belief and mentality for K-State as it is a question of talent. I think they've got the guys. If they could ever get everybody healthy on offense, it's one of the best offenses in the Big 12. I think they've improved in the trenches the last 2 weeks. If we're being honest, some of that is Dylan Edwards has been back on the field, so your running game looks better anyway. But I think they've started playing some guys who are a little better than the guys who were playing a bunch to start the season. I think Devin Bass and Gus Hawkins are better options than the guys they replaced, and they're playing better than the guys they replaced. So there's been some real improvement in the trenches, and I think that if we ever get the receiving group all healthy for the same game between Jace Brown, Dron Tibbs, and J.B. Bradley, that's as good a trio of receivers as Kansas State has had in a while. I think certainly under Kleiman. I don't think they've had a better 1-2-3 than that. And Dylan Edwards is Dylan Edwards, and Avery Johnson is Avery Johnson. There are playmakers. That's a good offense. At its best, it's even a great one. At its best, it's even a great one. It is. It still is. And defensively, there are still some great individual players on that side of the ball. There are some improvements being made in the secondary, some individual improvements. But if there's one thing that is the most disappointing for this Kansas State team, it is that the whole has not managed to feel like it is the sum of all of these parts. That all of these talented guys, these undeniably talented, productive players, we're not talking about, oh, they threw this roster together and it's got whatever star rating on the composite because they pulled it all together in the portal, but the pieces don't fit. No, we've seen all these guys play together and win football games together. We saw it last year. And the whole does not feel like the sum of the parts. And I think some of that comes down to a little bit of mentality, to a little bit of belief, to this game is close. I have to go and make the winning play. We just heard Patrick Mahomes talk about this. And I think there are a lot, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you out there listening. Again, the text line's open, 785-272-9429. You can comment in the YouTube live chat. Want to hear from K-State fans here this hour of the program. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're a KU and a K-State fan and a Chiefs fan, you probably feel like you're watching very similar football on Saturday and Sunday because you are watching two teams that you care deeply about fail to make what Patrick Mahomes calls, correctly, I think, winning plays. Making winning plays. Finishing that drive against Baylor with a touchdown changes everything about the final 2 minutes of that game. You have to execute. You have to decide, if I'm blocking for this second down pass, nobody's getting around me. Even if there's a blitz, I'm doing whatever I got to do to make sure we pick it up and we're not going to make a mistake. We're going to give Avery Johnson time to set his feet because that was the exact same play that went for a touchdown against UCF that got Will Ancio open for a touchdown. It got Garrett Oakley wide open for a touchdown, and Avery never got a chance to work back to him and throw the ball because you didn't protect it. And that's a winning play that you have to make. And you got to figure out a way to make the winning play on third down. And some of this is coaches have to put players in position to make winning plays. That's certainly part of it. The frustration with the play calling throughout the year, I think, is still certainly warranted. The frustration with the way that game was managed against Baylor in particular is certainly warranted. But we talked about it through the first 4-game stretch of the season. Defensively, it's fourth and whatever. Get off the field. Go make a play. Make a tackle. Go make a play. Nobody has been able to do that. Talented guys or guys at the end of the bench, it doesn't matter. The famous saying, I ran into a high school coach who liked to say this. And then later on, the rapper 2 Chainz would name an LP this. The play don't care who makes it.
Yeah.
The play is there to be made. Somebody's got to go make it. A winning culture, a culture of belief, a culture of confidence, somebody is going to go make that play. Last season for KU, or K-State, a perfect example. I'm thinking of the KU game from last year. They went and made the play. They took the ball away from Jalen Daniels when it looked like they might lose that football game. They got the ball back. They got Chris Tennant the opportunity to kick that go-ahead field goal. And then they made the play to get off the field on 4th down when Jalen Daniels is scrambling and looks like he might have the angle. I think it was VJ Payne on that particular play that knocked the ball away. Somebody went and made a winning play and sustained that winning streak in the Sunflower Showdown. And maybe it was because that game mattered so much, because it has mattered historically a whole great deal to Kansas State. And maybe these guys are having trouble summoning whatever it is that makes a game mean that much. And that would be a damning indictment of the coaching staff and these players if that were true. But that's where this team is falling short. I do not think it is wholly a talent deficit. Now, are they as good as we thought they were talent-wise? No, they're not.
No.
They're lacking in the trenches. They're not as good on either offensive or the defensive line. The text from the 785 says you've got to have dudes up front. You do. That's why Texas Tech looks like the best team in the league, because they got the dudes. They spent big money on those dudes, and those dudes are worth every penny.
Yeah.
Kansas State, their transfer dudes, Terrence Enos can't get on the field anymore. Taylor Poitier, who I love, is back for a 7th season, and he's not playing like a 7th-year guy. There are not enough difference makers in the trenches for Kansas State. We thought there might be. We thought they had a chance. Hasn't happened. Defensively, they have some guys who are okay players. They have not had anybody level up to be great. Like, I don't think anybody on that defensive line is going to be all conference.
One of the offensive line parts, obviously not fault of anybody else, is a freaky situation that happened with George Fitzpatrick.
Certainly
supposed to come in and be a top-tier guy from Ohio State.
Yeah, and it's too bad. And
unfortunate.
And again, that's an example of something that is beyond Kansas State's control. There are certainly things that have happened this season that have been a little outside their control, a bad bounce here, an injury there, nothing you can do about it. You have to find a way to overcome it. It gets now to desperation mode, and that's where Kansas State finds itself. And then we come back around to the reference you made before we started the segment. When it got to desperation mode with KU last year, when they started 1-5.
Yeah.
And they could not lose after, what game was it? Oh, the K-State game.
Yeah.
They lose K-State game. That was 6. They could not lose again after that. And they had Iowa State, who was a top 10 team. And they had BYU on the road, who was a top 10 team. They had Colorado coming to town, who was a top 25 team. They had those 3 games in Baylor, and they had to win them all. And they won 3 of them, all in a row, all against those top-ranked teams. They found a way. They dug deep. It mattered to them. That was a senior-laden team, and they played with a ton of pride, and they won games that on paper they had no business winning, and they gave themselves a shot. Now, it is exhausting to be that keyed up for every game and have to be that keyed up for every game, and they were out of juice against Baylor, and it was obvious. But that desperation, that pride, and the very real talent that KU team, even at 1-5, you could tell they had guys. They had real players. Dean Miller was first-team all-conference. Their offensive line was legitimately good.
I mean, they got guys in the NFL right now. They're on practice squads that are like, it's tough to make it to the NFL, and they've got guys that are sticking around, whether on practice squads or active rosters.
Yes. That was a talented football team. And the talent mixed with the desperation, mixed with the pride, helped them bring it all together. And even though they did not finish with a winning record, the way they finished that season showed that there was still a lot of positive momentum. There were a lot of good things happening with the program, and that the guys who were wearing that uniform were proud to put that uniform on. And that is where we land on what the best case scenario for the second half of this season for K-State looks like. Bowl, no bowl, just lay it on the line and make some winning plays. And if things keep not breaking K-State's way, then they just keep not breaking their way. I think probably 5-7 is the most realistic outcome for this K-State season. I think they'll probably go 3-3 the final 6. If you nailed me to a prediction, I would say 3-3 in the final 6. And that would miss a bowl. But they are capable of going 4-2. They might even be capable of 5-1. And we just got to see that talent mixed with that desperation, mixed with that pride. It worked for KU last year. That's the formula. I believe that K-State has talent. The other two, the desperation and the pride, we'll see. Starting Saturday, we'll see. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it's What Is Wrong With You time, and we'll talk more about this with Tim Fitzgerald and Wildcat Wrap-Up. That's all coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Text for the 785 regarding the last segment is K-State wants to salvage their season and can't lose to KU. I love to see that. Like, I don't think that particular rivalry is one of those where, hey, if we go 1-11, it's fine as long as the one is that game. But I certainly think, hey, look, if we're in the middle of a lost season, let's just at least keep the winning streak alive. I don't know. I'm going to talk myself into them beating KU by the time we get there in 3 weeks. I feel like I might. All year long, I've had that as a loss.
I feel like all stars are aligned.
Here.
Stars are aligned for KU to win.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Like back when we did our season predictions, I said 7-2 in the league for K-State. Whoops, I regret the error. My first, but one loss. I thought they would lose at the booth. I did. It felt like KU's year to win that game, but. Like, we'll see. We'll see. I maybe I will, maybe I won't. You're gonna have to stay tuned to find out.
It's either this year, it's their year, or it's 2027 when the booth is fully renovated.
Yeah,
because that's the next time it'll be there. So
right, it would feel like that. Let's do What Is Wrong With You today. Our current weekly champion, the sheriff from Spartanburg County, South Carolina, who spent taxpayer money on some wild stuff. He stole money from the taxpayers, bought 92 packs of cigs, $1,300 in Apple App Store in-game purchases. He bought Royal Match, man.
He had to buy an iPad, or he bought the iPad to play those games on.
Bought an iPad at Best Buy, spent nearly a band at Fuddruckers. It's the funniest possible restaurant to have dropped a band.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It's a really funny story. We got 2 new ones today. Why don't you go first, Spencer?
All right. We're going to go to Miami, Florida. There's a pretty serious road rage incident that happened. Police say they were called Tuesday afternoon to a parking lot near a Publix store for a possible road rage situation. According to the arrest report, the victim told officers that the suspect, identified as 53-year-old Eric Roger Sorenzo, honked at her while she was stopped at a stop sign, allowing pedestrians to cross. She said when she parked, he blocked her vehicle, preventing her from leaving. The victim told investigators that when she approached his car, he pulled out his wallet, displaying a gold badge that said police officer, and said, "I'm a cop."
So did the badge just say police officer? Do badges typically say police officer? Or do they identify like the police department?
I feel like they identify the police department. Police said he then drove away in a blue Jeep Liberty. Officers later located him and arrested him, confiscating the fake badge. A woman at his home declined to comment on the case when visited by reporters. The Police Board Association president said they relieved the officers located the badge because, you know, you can't have people faking that they're cops. He's going to jail on 3rd-degree felony for falsely impersonating an officer.
So you can buy a badge that says special police for like $17 on the internet. You can also buy one that just says cop for $2 at the Party City. Or I guess that's the online store because they don't have any brick and mortar anymore.
Well, yeah, because you want to be a police officer for Halloween.
It just says cop.
Well, that's how they get away with selling it, because it says cop, not police officer.
Somebody walking up with a silver badge that says cop and be like, "Ma'am, read the badge. You know what time it is."
Police officer. You better move.
That is wild. All right, for my story today, I call this story, "Give Me Your Shirt or I'll Shoot Up the Family Dollar." North Charlotte, North Carolina. It all started with a woman demanding the shirt another woman was wearing, and it ended with her threatening people with a gun. It happened on Monday. A family member of a person inside the store said the incident started. A woman complimented another woman on her NASCAR shirt and then said, "Give me the shirt." She asked her to give her the shirt that she wanted. The lady, of course, told her no, she wasn't going to give her the shirt. That led to a fight. The woman who demanded the shirt was throwing water bottles out of the cooler.
That's wild.
Briefly left, then came back inside with a gun and waved it at everybody in the store. Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department officers arrived and subdued the woman as she was pointing the gun at a teenage girl, making an arrest. The woman's child was with her during the whole ordeal. A police report isn't ready. I can't wait to read it. So yeah, hey, nice shirt. I want it. Give me the shirt. No? All right.
Give me the shirt. This is a holdup.
I'm going to take it off of you. Either you're going to give it to me or I'm going to take it from you. Get it back in blood. Like, what is must have been a cool shirt, man. Like, I can't imagine how cool that shirt. I don't know. Like, I've seen people walk around like, if you watch this show on YouTube, you know I like a cool T-shirt. I am wearing a T-shirt today that references a Simpsons episode that aired, I think, the year my wife was born. It is a very old reference. It is Barney Gumble punching Wade Boggs in the face. If you know, you know. I like a cool T-shirt. I can't imagine going up to somebody and say, "Hey, man, cool shirt. Can I have it? I want your shirt. Give me your shirt." No? How about now? We'll fling some water bottles at you first. No? Still a no? I'll be right back. Be right back with the blick. And then you can tell me no. Tell it to my 9. Goodness gracious. All right, who wins today?
Oh, I don't know. I think that one. Both are kind of ridiculous. Police officer. But then that one, you come in with a gun.
Yeah, over a T-shirt.
Yeah.
A T-shirt. Does that beat I'm going to say no. I'm going to go
I'm
with
going
the
to say
Sheriff.
no. I think Sheriff wins because
The
the
Sheriff-
amount of money at Fuddruckers.
I can guarantee that the Sheriff was of sound mind and body when he decided, I'm going to take this taxpayer money and I'm going to pay to get to the highest level on Royal Match.
Look, no one's going to find out. Never. No one's going to find out.
Yeah, it's
I've
just
got a
17
foolproof
grand.
ban. No one's going to find out. I've never seen stories about corrupt money scheming sheriffs.
Let me explain.
Ever.
Let me explain to you my plan over some Fuddruckers.
Yes.
Paid for by the good people, the good tax-paying citizens of
While we're waiting for your
Spartanburg
food, I'm
County.
going to play Royal Match.
Yeah. On this brand new iPad. Do not ask me where I got this. Yeah, I can guarantee he was of sound mind when he did that. I cannot guarantee that about a woman who would pull a gun over a T-shirt. So we will lean towards the Sheriff. He will advance to tomorrow on What Is Wrong With You. Next up, Tim Fitzgerald to GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-Up on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Playing Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Tim Fitzgerald to GoPowerCat.com for the Wildcat Wrap-Up here on 580 Sports Talk. We do it every Wednesday at this time. Fitz and his crew cover the Cats over at GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Become a VIP subscriber to check out all of their outstanding work covering all things K-State. And subscribe to their YouTube. Check out their podcast. It is a full-fledged media empire Fitz has going on over there at gopowercat.com. And we got to start. I watch your daily deliveries on the YouTube channel. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel and go subscribe to ours too, 580 Sports Talk. And it was kind of the crux of what we were talking about to start this hour. The most disappointing thing about this 2-4 start for Kansas State is that it does not seem to entirely be an issue of total lack of talent. I think there's a decent amount of talent on this roster. What they do not seem to have is the ability to make what Patrick Mahomes, another quarterback playing for a team that is off to a slower start than expected, calls the winning plays. And I think that you kind of spoke to that in your most recent daily delivery, that there's plays out there to be made that can go win a game, and nobody's making them for Kansas State through 4 weeks.
Yeah, in fact, the one close victory they had against North Dakota, Henry Johnson made one of those plays. And in the case of the Baylor game, it wasn't just a winning play, it was kind of the knockout play. They're in the fourth quarter with a 2-touchdown lead. And, I thought Avery played his best game of the season, but the play that really stuck out with me in a negative way was on that drive, they've got 2-touchdown lead. And so I got 3rd and 2, and he rolls out to throw the ball. I don't know if he could have run and picked it up, but he sure as heck didn't try. He headed for the boundary and threw a little incomplete pass, not to lose yardage. There was no effort to pick up the first down. And, speaking of Mahomes, I mentioned him in that daily delivery. Patrick Mahomes is not known as a runner. But in those situations, yeah, he's going to run, and yeah, he's going to pick up the first down. He's going to risk his injury on those situations, not just some generic 3rd down in the course of the game. K-State picks up that first down, perpetuates that drive. I don't know if Baylor has enough time to come back, or if K-State didn't go down and make it a 3-score game, and Baylor just didn't have enough time on the clock, period, to come back. So it's just kind of putting teams away. They're not good at that. They're not good at getting over the hump with that big play that they need. They get a big play to get back in the game, but they don't seem to get the big play to, get the game locked up.
We were saying many of the same things, Fitz, about the 2024 Kansas Jayhawks when they started their season with a 1-5 record, and then were at 2-6 after a loss in the Sunflower Showdown. And then desperation met pride, met talent, and they reeled off a stretch of 3 wins that was as impressive as anybody in the country had last year: Iowa State, BYU, and Colorado, before their quest to make a bowl ultimately fell short with a season-ending loss to Baylor. I got to believe that K-State's at the point where the desperation and the pride have to meet the talent. I still think that third factor, that talent factor, exists on this roster. The desperation and the pride, where is that going to come from? Who's going to lead that charge on this roster or in this program right now?
It's got to be your quarterback, at least on the offensive side of the ball. It's not typically Avery Johnson's MO to be the fiery leader, but he's going to have to make the plays. He's going to have to answer, at least with his effort. So I think the big difference is Kansas State issues seem to be many. There seem to be multiple breakdowns. At the start of the year, it was players weren't very invested, didn't look like they were willing to play very hard. They've solved that. But I do think it was the coaches who kind of fumbled away this game. And, despite what I just said about Avery, there were situations where I didn't think the coaching staff put their team in the best position to be successful or win the game. They didn't manage the lead or the clock very well. Last with KU, I kind of thought they've got an incredible quarterback who's making too many mistakes. When those mistakes stopped, so did the losing. And I think that's continued a little bit this year, too. When Jalen Daniels plays a pretty clean game, it's a really good football team. And when he doesn't, they struggle. And there's just too many turnovers. I think K-State's problems are a little bit deeper, to be honest, and a little bit more troubling because it seems to be a lack of fire from the team. And honestly, I think the coaches have not done a good job with this group, whether it's mental or physical coaching.
Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up on the program. Fitz joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Is it just going to be the case that Kansas State is not going to have a 100% Dylan Edwards, at least for the foreseeable future? He was limited, and Chris Kleiman seemed to allude that had to do with injury. And, of course, the allusion and not the direct, yeah, he's just not 100%. That always is going to give rise to some rumor mongering. But what is the situation with Dylan Edwards' ankle right now? And at what point, if any point in this season, is he going to be able to get back to the full health at which he's a major asset for this team?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he was healthy the week before, took hits, and then he comes out in the first series against Baylor, and things don't go well, and he kind of limps off the field a little bit and disappears into an unknown realm. I think a lot of that was the coaches saying, look, if you're going to keep being hurt, not injured, hurt, we're just going to sit you down. And if you're going to limp around here and make that something, we're not going to play you. This could come across a personal attack on a player, and I'm not meaning it that way, but players got to understand between hurt and injured. Injured, the leg don't work, the ankle doesn't work, the foot doesn't work. Hurt means you're in pain. And if you can't play through pain in the game of football, you're not going to play very much, because that's all this game's about. And honestly, that's why I didn't play the game very long, because I didn't like being hurt.
That's why I never played it at all.
Yeah, I know what hurt and injured are. I didn't like either, but I also sucked, so it didn't really matter. If you really want to be a guy that's going to play a long time in the NFL, you got to play hurt, and you got to play hurt, and when you're injured, you're injured. You can't play. You physically can't perform. But hurt, unless it's really, really painful, you got to find a way to go through it. And if that way is taking a needle into your body, okay. It's not ideal, but you got to strap it up and go. You're going to be beaten up a lot. And I hope he can go, because this team, when he's healthy, as we saw against UCF, that the offense gets much more dynamic and tough to stop. And, they got the same things going on with receivers. They got to get those guys healthy and on the field, and Avery Johnson would probably prefer to play at least one game this season with his entire arsenal of weapons.
Hopefully that's Saturday against TCU, and we won't know until we get there, of course. But TCU coming to town to start the second half of this 2025 season. And I'm kind of with you, Fitz. I'm not entirely sure how good TCU is. I know they're not bad. Certainly there's a realm of bad in this conference that appears to be the exclusive domain of the folks in Stillwater and Morgantown at this point. So I know TCU's not bad. They're certainly not a pushover. I like their quarterback, Josh Hoover, a lot. I don't know how good they are. I think they're a little mistake prone. They gave away a 17-point lead against Arizona State. They can be had, certainly. What's K-State going to have to do? What is the matchup that you like best for K-State in this game against TCU?
It reminds me, look, TCU and Baylor are a little bit different offensively, but I think as an overall team, they're really comparable. Maybe TCU's offense isn't quite as potent, but their defense is a little bit better. So I don't know. This game being at home, I think, is going to be a big boost. This game being in Manhattan should give the team a little bit of energy. They just have to finish things off. Again, you brought it up at the start. Make that play, man. Go make that play, because I think this one's going to come down to the wire again. And another point of that daily delivery this morning is, you are what your record says you are. You're not 2-4 because you're losing close games. You're 2-4 because you don't know how to win close games. And you're not capable of that. If they solve that, like Kansas did a year ago, then whatever those issues are, they're going to be okay. They're going to win more games. But they put themselves in a corner now, and they have to fight out of it. And it starts Saturday, because if they don't do this, they're going to go to Lawrence and lose a 15-year winning streak that they're pretty proud of. And then you want to know how hostile fans have been? That's going to get a lot worse.
TCU, a team that is very capable of doing damage through the air. They've got an outstanding wide receiver whose name is eluding me. McAllister, I think, is his last name. And like I mentioned, I think Josh Hoover is a very talented quarterback. K-State's secondary has been a roller coaster, more downs than ups this season, but they made some plays against Baylor, intercepted Sawyer Robertson once, and a lot of what Baylor did was Michael Trigg kind of big boying some people. An NFL guy making some plays just because he's an NFL guy. What is K-State's secondary outlook, you think, in the second half of this season? I know Gunnar Maldonado's playing more. I know they've switched some personnel around. We saw a little bit more Justice Clemens at corner on Saturday. What do you think is the right mix for that secondary group that is still, I should mention, playing shorthanded because they haven't had McAllister all year, Colby McAllister?
Yeah. I think they've kind of gone to a different group of safety. We do see Gunnar Maldonado more often. We have seen Logan Bartlett, the true freshman, who is very impressive. Quay Moss has probably been the breakout star of this team. They picked up a lot of passing yardage. They had just a horrendous matchup problem with a gigantic human being that's an athlete tight end, and oh my goodness, they could not stop Baylor when they really wanted to throw the ball to him. But I thought overall they did a pretty good job. They have their coverage a little bit more buttoned up and a little more less fewer mistakes in this game. So I think the safety problems have been evident, not just in pass coverage but tackling. That also came to the fore a little bit in this past game. They're not very good tacklers, which I hate to tell them this, but that's kind of the job of the defense. You need to be able to tackle people to stop them from running. I know it's complex football talk there, but they need to figure that out. They missed some crucial tackles in that Baylor game, and you can't do that with TCU.
Tim Fitzgerald and the crew at GoPowerCat.com will have all the coverage leading up to and coming out of Saturday's K-State game against TCU. Should become a VIP subscriber to 24/7 Sports and get access to all of it. Fitz joins us every Wednesday for the Wildcat Wrap-Up here on 580 Sports Talk. It's always a pleasure, Fitz. We'll do it again next week.
Good, brother.
That is Tim Fitzgerald. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Text from the 785, we were talking earlier about how if you're a K-State and a Chiefs fan, you must be feeling deja vu watching football Saturdays and Sundays with your two favorite teams right now. Text from 785 say you absolutely nailed it on the Chiefs K-State reference. It's just two teams right now that aren't making winning plays. Two teams right now that are finding ways to lose rather than finding ways to win. And with the Chiefs specifically, it's so out of character that I expect that it will not persist. College football is a little different because you get a different group of guys just about every year. younger guys in the shorter season, so less time for things to balance out. So it's a lot different and less certainty, even though K-State has been a program that has been a winning program, less certainty that it's going to change. I have all the certainty in the world that Patrick Mahomes and company are going to find ways to make winning plays moving forward. I think that K-State has the ability to do that, but whether or not they will, very much an open question.
It's kind of crazy. Mahomes was asked about this as media availability. I think he played the audio in the first
I sure did.
Hour. Their record in one-score games last year was 11-0. That's crazy.
12-0.
I think 6-4, 7-5 would be, or 7-4, 6-5. Yes, would be a normal record. 0-3 this year. That's just crazy. You go from undefeated to can't find a win when the game's within 7.
Yeah, and what we pointed out in the first hour, and if you missed this discussion, you can catch it on our podcast, catch it by hitting rewind on the YouTube live stream, is that last year, even if the defense did not get the stop that they had to get to preserve the lead or get the ball back to Mahomes and company so they could go and take the lead or finish out the game, even if they didn't get that stop, there was always time for Mahomes and company to go do what they do. And they just haven't had the time. They didn't get the ball back at the end of the Charger game. They didn't get the ball back at the end of the Eagles game. And they only had the ball for 23 seconds and had to go 50 yards in the game against the Jaguars on Monday night. So it's some of that is just the time has not been on the Chiefs' side. Got to massage the clock a little bit better. Make sure Patrick Mahomes is deciding football games for the Chiefs moving forward. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got one got to go. We're going to talk about the NFL, but we got our headlines, including a playoff roundup. And is the Bill Belichick era about to be over already in Chapel Hill? It might be. We're going to lead headlines with that. Stay with us. 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday. We're with you until 6 o'clock here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Thanks for rocking with us. I am Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is across the glass. We've got a jam-packed final hour today. We will bring you some 580 Sports Talk headlines here in just a bit, including a playoff roundup. One Major League Baseball playoff elimination game is in the books. One is underway. Two more coming tonight. We'll break all that down for you in headlines. We'll also play around a one gotta go. And we're going to talk about the idea of the front runner in the NFL. And who is that team right now? And am I alone in feeling like maybe there isn't one? It doesn't feel like there's a lead dog right now, a team that through 5 weeks of the NFL season has thrown down a marker and said, we're the team to beat. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking too closely at flaws or perceived flaws. Maybe there is an answer to this question. Maybe you have an answer to the question. But we'll talk it out. A little NFL talk as we wind down this Wednesday on the show. Again, we want to hear from you. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429. You can also get in touch with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. If you're watching the live show, there is a live chat. You can type things into the live chat, and we can read them. And your fellow listeners can read them as well. So if you're checking out the YouTube stream, why not say hi? Start a discussion. Contribute to one that we're having on the air. Nothing's off limits. Well, I shouldn't say nothing's off limits. Be smart. But, you can talk about whatever you want. I know sometimes I look over the live chat window and people are talking about their grocery lists. I'm not here to tell you not to do that. Talk about whatever you want. Enjoy it. The space is yours. The space belongs to the community. And we appreciate the community of listeners that hangs out on the YouTube chat throughout the day on 580 Sports Talk's YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to if you have not already, because if you subscribe, which is free, you will get us closer to singing for you in 580 Sports Talk karaoke, which will happen when we get to 900 subscribers. We're a ways out, so we need you to be a hero today and go smash that subscribe button if you have not done so yet on the YouTube channel. Got a keyword for the hour. One more keyword for the day on our fall cash contest at 580WIBW.com. Click on the contest link at the top of the page. This keyword good for the remainder of the hour. And you enter it. You have until 6 o'clock to get it entered. Get you registered for a chance to win $2,000. We're giving away $2,000 a day every weekday this week, every weekday next week. And the more keywords you enter during a day, the more chances you have to win. This hour's keyword, the final keyword of the day, is life. Life. L-I-F-E. Life. Mikey, he likes it. Life. The game of life.
$2,000 could be life-changing.
I don't know about life-changing.
For some people, it could.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. Life-altering, a positive in your life.
If you are somebody that unfortunately your car's on the fritz, you can put $2,000 down on the car.
Yeah. Where do you come down on life cereal, Spencer Dupuis?
Not a fan.
No?
No.
See, like regular old life, yeah, I could take or leave that, but Cinnamon Life. Cinnamon Life is one of the most underrated breakfast cereals.
I'll go with Cinnamon Toast Crunch every day of the week.
Well, listen, I will too. Like if those are my two choices, I'm going to go with Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We were not in the Lucero home growing up big on like the explicitly sugary cereals. Like we did not have like Cookie Crisp.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with
Lucky Charms,
Reese's Puffs,
Reese's Puffs. Yeah, we did not have those. We had, Corn Flakes, Cheerios, Kicks. Occasionally, what's the one? Golden Grams would be about the sweetest that we
Lucky Charms was my sweetest.
So yeah, I still like Lucky Charms because that represented a treat. We were not a Lucky Charms house. So we were also not a Cinnamon Toast Crunch house. Now, my wife and I, that's like the only cereal we buy. We buy Cinnamon Toast Crunch, we buy Lucky Charms. We're going to have to be better examples to our son, perhaps.
Yeah, but he's not eating cereal yet, so you're fine.
No,
right
he's not. I think we're okay for the time being. So we did not do Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but Cinnamon Life was okay. And we had Cinnamon Life in the house. That was good stuff. Christopher is a Cinnamon Life guy. Appreciate that, Christopher, for having my back on this. I didn't want to feel like I was the only person who enjoyed a good bowl of Cinnamon Life. You know what else is good? Special K with the strawberries up in it, the dried strawberries.
Never had
it. That's a good cereal. I should eat more cereal than I do. I'm a big cereal guy.
Yeah, I used to be a big cereal guy. Like every day in high school, that'd be my breakfast. It'd be like, just give me a bowl of cereal.
So for me, I was not like, I didn't buy cereal because I just didn't eat breakfast. I'd get up and I would pour a cup of coffee and I'd go to work. Like I was never a big breakfast eater at home. Now that even now, like I gotta take my kiddo to daycare in the morning, but I could have a bowl of cereal. I have the time in the morning because he's up, and then I got about an hour between when he wakes up that I got to get him to daycare so I can get in here. But I usually end up just taking a protein bar, and that ends up being my breakfast. But I should eat more cereal because I really like cereal.
Yeah, Olivia's on a cereal kick. If she runs out, she's gonna run to the store. She's like, I gotta run to the store. I can't not have my breakfast cereal tomorrow.
Text from the 785 said, remember Kicks? You're damn right I remember Kicks.
Yeah, Kicks.
I was one of my favorites as a kid. I really did. I enjoyed Kicks. Kicks were like that. That was like the exclusively for kids cereal. Like that was the one that felt like it was most obviously for children. This will tell you though, like that, like growing up and still to this day, one of my absolute favorite cereals is Crispix. I love Crispix. Corn on one side, rice on the other, baby.
Wait, what?
Crispix. You never had it? That's one of my favorite cereals.
I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of Crispix? Wow. Maybe you know it by its generic name in the stores. There's one, I don't remember if it's like Walmart or Sam's Club or whatever. They call it Crispy Hexagons. Love a bowl of Crispy Hexagons.
I guess I'm too young, like the 913
says.
Text
from 913 says you're too young to know what Crispix is. Man, tell you what. We got to make a grocery run this weekend. We got to make grocery runs every weekend. We're a family of 3. We got to get our groceries.
We make grocery runs every weekend. I call my mom on the phone to talk to her, and she's like, "You're going to the grocery store again? Didn't you just go last weekend?" I'm like, "Yeah, we like fresh food. Like we mark out what we're making in the week, and then that's what we buy. We don't like when I was a kid, we would buy and buy and buy. And when I was a kid, grocery prices were decent. My mom would spend like $200 at the grocery store, but still have a bunch of stuff, but then need more stuff the next week.
I want to acknowledge that the text line has referenced Alpha Bits, Honeycomb, and Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes
are solid.
They are solid.
You know what? You know where I have eaten Frosted Flakes the most in my life? Probably hotel lobbies.
Yes.
Like the hotel breakfast, you got like the spinning dial that always crunches up the cereal.
Yeah.
you get like Cheerios, or you can get Frosted Flakes.
Apple Jacks. Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks.
I put Apple Jacks in the same category as Captain Crunch. That'll shred the roof of your mouth. Our old pal Fulton Caster was a big Apple Jacks guy.
What about Fruit Loops? Where do you come down on Fruit Loops?
Fruit Loops are fine. Yeah, they're fine. They're good.
Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks are basically the same shaped cereal.
Like, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Growing up, it was I was a big Crispix guy, and nowadays it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch or it's Lucky Charms in the Lucero household. That's what I was missing all those years. I'm catching up. Here's one for Fruity Pebbles from the 785. Fruity Pebbles with marshmallows, the go-to for the kids. I'll have to remember that when Asher's of age. Because look, I'm not gonna stop eating sugary cereal just because my kid's old enough to eat cereal.
What's funny is when I was eating cereal, neither of my parents ate cereal, but now my mom eats cereal. My dad does too, which is funny because when I was a kid, they never ate cereal, but now they do when I'm gone and out.
913 says I could eat a whole box of Golden Grams. Yeah, shout out to Golden Grams. I haven't Golden Grams in so long. That's one I most associate with. Like that was the sugary cereal we were allowed to have at the Lucero.
Isn't Golden Gram? What?
Oh, those Golden Grams.
Aren't they the
Tasty
same
Golden
thing
Grams.
as Cinnamon Toast Crunch or no?
Roughly, similar idea.
Okay,
I'd say, yeah. Anyway, let's get some 580 Sports Talk headlines. We got a juicy one here. The North Carolina football team is off this week. They play Cal next week. It is looking increasingly likely that Bill Belichick will not be coaching the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yep.
When they are playing the Cal Bears in 2 weeks. This reporting from Ollie Connolly, who covers football for The Guardian. He has his own Substack. He has previously been a recruiting analyst and an NFL and college football scout. So he is tied in. This is a source that is trustworthy. And this is his reporting. I caught this on Blue Sky earlier this afternoon. Per sources, Bill Belichick has discussed buyout options with North Carolina's hierarchy. Belichick has signaled a willingness to trigger his own $1 million buyout because if he leaves for another job, the buyout is $1 million. If they fire him, the buyout is $20 million. But he has signaled a willingness to trigger his own $1 million buyout if he can find a soft landing with another team. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure everybody in America has watched his team go down 35-3 to Clemson last week and thinking, yeah, I want to hire that guy. I want that guy and his weird young girlfriend hanging around all the time. Or in media, if he can find a cushy media gig, he would be willing to trigger his own buyout.
Didn't he have one?
Yeah, he was on TV all last year.
He should have stayed.
I think he was like on Underdog Fantasy. He had a podcast with Matt Patricia. Ollie Connolly continues. Members of Belichick's coaching staff have already spoken to other schools that are expected to be in the playoff about taking on roles during the postseason. From one coach, quote, "The Rats are leaving the ship." Some staffers believe a change will come within 2 weeks. Reports of serious recruiting violations remain under investigation at North Carolina. Recruiting and practice violations have already been proven by the school, according to multiple sources. Using recruiting violations to knock down a coach's buyout has become a standard practice. If Belichick cannot find a landing spot to trigger his own buyout, he's expected to accept a greatly reduced, compromised rate. Belichick's communication with his staff in the past 2 weeks, this is more from Ollie Connolly, has been described as weird and distant by multiple members of UNC's coaching staff. Multiple coaches were unable to get a hold of him during their bye week. From one UNC defensive assistant, quote, "What we've done to these kids is bleeped up." End of quote. End of thread.
Crazy.
I cannot believe it has already come to this, but it sure looks like we're heading in a direction where Bill Belichick is not going to be the coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels next time they play a football game.
I mean, look, we as a show spoke of this multiple times.
I was
before
insistent.
Yes.
I pounded the table and I said, I don't think he really wants to do this.
But we talked about him not even making it to coach a game.
That
was a real reality on the show. We discussed it multiple times.
That was me. I said it. I said it over and over, and then he made it. And do you remember prime time, Monday night, every famous alumnus of the University of North Carolina at Kenan Stadium.
And non-alumnus.
And some famous non-alums.
Like Granny Moss.
In the stadium. And North Carolina walked it down the field to score on their opening drive of the season on TCU.
And then went to hell in a handbag since.
And Skip Bayless tweeted that he might be the #1 team in America. And Colin Cowherd tweeted that he might be the second best college coach I've ever seen, just below Nick Saban. And everything after that has been a true and utter disaster. And honest to goodness, I didn't think it was going to work out. I didn't think he ever wanted to do it. But I thought once things started, it would at least last a season.
Yeah.
It would at least last through Thanksgiving. He's not going to make it to the next game. Unbelievable turn of events there. There has been all kinds of reporting. There was a story that WRAL in Raleigh had that came out either yesterday or the day before that had some quotes from parents who had kids on the team talking about how, if they're not one of Belichick's preferred kids, they're largely ignored, and that at least Belichick will say hi to people in the hallway, but his GM, Michael Lombardi, is a jerk who nobody likes.
I feel like I've always felt that way about them.
All the dirty laundry is coming out. Hulu yesterday announced they were pulling the docu-series that they were planning to air that featured North Carolina football and Bill Belichick, which is a damn shame.
Well, yeah, I've
never wanted to see a docu-series more in my life than I want to see a Bill Belichick at North Carolina docu-series. I will watch all of the raw footage. I will. I'll pay for it. I'll write a check.
You probably don't have enough money to write a check.
Let me see the footage. I want to see it. Anyway, that is where things stand in Chapel Hill Bills version. Whatever else they trademarked in anticipation of this. This is going to go down as one of the all-time sports disasters. The reporting again from Ollie Connolly of The Guardian that Bill Belichick is discussing buyout options at North Carolina. Again, they have played, 5 games?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, next headline.
All right, we're going to stay in the realm of college sports. I'll hit you with 2 college or NCAA headlines. We'll hit you with one that came yesterday. The administrative committee for Division I athletics at the NCAA level, they have agreed and approved yesterday to a single transfer portal window, 15-day window for football that runs January 2nd to 16th, thus ending the let's not have a spring game because I don't want my guys to get recruited elsewhere. So return of spring games is a big possibility. The other headline that coming out earlier today, the NCAA is closer to letting D1 athletes bet on pro sports. That coming from ESPN.
I cannot stress enough what a terrible idea this is. If you go right now to ESPN's college football front page, well, okay, I guess it's not there anymore. No, you go to their men's basketball front page, NCAA men's basketball front page. Their top headlines. The first one is NCAA closer to letting athletes bet on pro sports. The third headline is NCAA betting abuse of athletes comment online. Why then do you want to encourage that behavior from your own student athletes? If you have rules in place right now that bar the practice, why would you want to loosen those rules? Because I got news for you, NCAA. Your athletes aren't the only ones that get abused by people who bet on them and lose. It happens to pro athletes too. And you know who does it? Pro athletes? Loser college kids.
Yeah.
And do you know who some of the student athletes in the NCAA are? End of the day, moron college kids. So I really, really think this is a terrible, horrible, no good idea to decide to do a U-turn on allowing college athletes and athletic department staff to bet on professional sports. Divisions 2 and 3 are expected to consider the proposal. If approved by the lower divisions, the rule would go into effect November 1st. It's a bad idea, man.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what the benefit. What is the benefit of the NCAA doing this? Where does the NCAA benefit? Where do they come out ahead by deciding, you know what? Yeah, well, it's okay if the backup shortstop at Northwestern wants to drop an 8-leg touchdown scorer parlay on a Sunday in the fall. Like that generally, I know sounds harmless, but it is younger people who have proven to be more subject to becoming, frankly, gambling addicts. And you are in an environment where if you are now encouraging that behavior, because college kids are surrounded by gambling everywhere they go now, it's in your pocket. And if you're now going to encourage that behavior, instead of keeping rules in place, these are common sense rules. Hey, you don't need to bet on things. You're a student athlete. Keep your focus on the field and don't worry about the over-under in Jets-Ravens or whatever.
Yeah.
You have these common sense rules in place. What is the benefit? What is to gain by lifting those rules? Unless it is a little bit of a, hey, gambling houses, we'll scratch your back if you'll scratch ours.
That's got to be.
And then, okay, so fine. Obviously, the gambling houses will make more money here because it's another revenue source for them, these college athletes who can now legally bet on professional sporting events. But what does college sports get out of this? What does the NCAA gain out of this? I do not understand it, not even one little bit. We got some NFL quarterback news, our next headline here. Joe Flacco right into the starting lineup for the Cincinnati Bengals. Their head coach, Zach Taylor, confirming that he will start on Sunday as the Bengals get set to take on the Green Bay Packers. Flacco is already 1-0 against the Packers this year. Wonder how many quarterbacks in NFL history have gone 2-0 against a team that was not a division rival in the same season.
Well,
I got to imagine that's a pretty short list.
I was talking with Brendan the other day, and the way that I guess it was yesterday, the way that they've started to change the scheduling process was you don't see a lot of your division games in the beginning of the year.
That's true.
But if they did, that would be crazy because he's going to see the Ravens, I think, 3 total times, but that's it.
Yeah.
If he saw every team in the division 3 times, that would be wild.
That would also be exceedingly rare, I would imagine.
The other 2 teams.
So Joe Flacco practiced, and Zach Taylor saying in his news conference today, quote, he's going to take all the reps and get ready to go. He'll wear number 16 for the Bengals if you are curious. Meanwhile, the Browns are not yet ready to anoint Shedeur Sanders their backup quarterback after all. Kevin Stefanski, their head coach, was non-committal on whether Sanders or practice squad quarterback Bailey Zappi would be the backup quarterback to Dylan Gabriel. He would not say whether the team would sign Zappi to the active roster ahead of Sunday's game so that one of the backups could serve as the inactive emergency quarterback. Meanwhile, Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray is not practicing today, and his status for Week 6 against the Colts is up in the air. He suffered a foot injury in Sunday's loss to the Titans. He's considered day-to-day, according to head coach Jonathan Gannon. The prognosis is less bright for Brock Purdy, who is still not practicing for the 49ers. They do not yet know when he will return from the toe injury that has caused him to sit out 3 of their first 5 games. But Kyle Shanahan did say today that they have not thought about placing him on injured reserve. Purdy did not practice today. Looks like it'll be Mac Jones again under center for San Francisco when they take on the 4-1 Buccaneers. Let's wrap up the headlines with a playoff roundup today, shall we? Shall we?
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
4 elimination games in the Major League Baseball playoffs today. One of them already in the books. The Detroit Tigers rallied from a 3-0 deficit in the 5th inning, tying the game in the 5th and taking the lead with 4 runs in the 6th, pulling away late to defeat the Seattle Mariners 9-3. They even that series at 2 games apiece. Riley Green and Javi Baez both homered in the 6th inning for the Tigers. Gleyber Torres would add one in the 7th inning. Baez with 4 RBIs to lead the Tigers' offensive charge out of the 9 spot in their batting order. So that series will move back to Seattle for a clinching game number 5. That will be played on Friday afternoon in Seattle, and Detroit will send the eventual back-to-back Cy Young Award winner Tarek Skubal to the mound. That is not a scenario that the Mariners thought they were going to have to deal with after they won Game 3 last night, 8-4. The Chicago Cubs are also trying to avoid being eliminated on their home field, and so far so good for the Cubbies at Wrigley Field. They lead the Brewers 4-1. That game going to the top of the 4th inning. Milwaukee plated a run in the first, but the Cubs responded immediately. A leadoff home run by Michael Busch, a 2-run single by Pete Crow Armstrong, and another run scoring on a wild pitch, tallying 4 in the first. The Cubs chased Milwaukee starter Quinn Priester after just 2/3 of an inning. The Cubs trying to get back into that series. Milwaukee with a 2-0 series lead there. Again, that game in the top of the fourth, 4-1 Cubs. Later tonight, 6:08 first pitch Central Time, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. The Jays looked like they would cruise to the sweep over the Yankees. They were up 6-1 in the third inning last night, but the Yankees stormed back. Aaron Judge hit a tying 3-run home run, and the Yankees would tack on 3 more. It was ultimately 8 unanswered runs to win Game 3 of that series by the score of 9-6 tonight. The Yankees will send their wild card series hero, rookie right-hander Cam Schlittler. Boy, you got to be careful with that one. I'm just going to call him Cam. Can I call you Cam? Cam is on the mound for the Yankees tonight. Louis Varland will get the start. It'll be a bullpen game tonight for the Blue Jays in the Bronx. And the late game tonight, an 8:08 first pitch Central Time. The Dodgers are the only home team trying to close a series tonight. The Dodgers up 2-0 on the Phillies. They will start Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound. The Phillies will go to veteran right-hander Aaron Nola, making his first appearance of this postseason. That is your playoff roundup. Congratulations to Aaron Judge, by the way. Finally did something worth noting in the playoffs.
Yes.
Finally has a playoff moment. Only took him 7 years. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll play a little One Gotta Go on the other side here on 580 Sports Talk. One Gotta Go on 580 Sports Talk. I'm going to give you my non-sports one first. Stole this from the text line the day that it was just me, and I solicited some One Gotta Go answers, and I never got around to this one. We ended the segment before I could get to all of them.
All right.
So shout out to this one from the text line. Texter from the 785 from a week ago. We're finally getting around to your One Gotta Go. This is condiments, ketchup, mayo, mustard, barbecue sauce. One's got to go.
Ooh. I say barbecue because it's hard to use barbecue unless you're like, I'm not a barbecue on chicken nugget guy or
Okay.
you know,
It's more contextual for you than the other ones.
yeah.
Like you want it only on barbecue.
Yeah, like I'll only put it on barbecue or
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much it. So I don't like it doesn't get used very much in my household.
Understand.
So like I'd rather have it go.
So I like them all, and I'm certainly this close to Kansas City.
I mean,
the
I
barbecue
like
mecca.
barbecue sauce. Don't get me wrong. It's just, you know, it's not in the rotation.
No, I understand. I'm going to keep barbecue sauce. I like all of the other ones. I know there's some people out there. I think Brendan's a mayo hater. Like,
he is, and I don't get it.
Brendan hates mayonnaise. He just absolutely loathes it. I will say I'm going to get rid of ketchup, and this is why. Like, everything I use ketchup for, I could just as easily not put ketchup on it and be fine. Like ketchup on French fries, I can eat fries without ketchup. Ketchup on a burger, I can eat a burger without ketchup. Ketchup on a hot dog, I can definitely eat a hot dog or a brat without ketchup. Not that I mind ketchup. If it is available to me, I will use it in certain contexts. This is me being weird. Like, this is my brain working in the way that it does. But I actually think that the only way to eat ketchup with McDonald's fries is to do it out of the little cup while you're sitting at the restaurant. Like, you cannot have, like, you can't bring McDonald's fries home and then, like, eat your ketchup out of your fridge. No, absolutely not. You can't do the little packets. No. Don't give me the packets. Give me the little cup. Go fill it. Go fill that little paper cup. I'm going to put you on game. Pull the little paper cup kind of apart. Like, don't tear it. Just pull it apart a little bit so it's a wider, like, lip so you have more ketchup you can put into each cup. It separates. So they got all those little creases in them. So you pull those little creases out just a little bit. Give yourself some more surface area for the ketchup and dip your McDonald's fries in the ketchup out of the cup. You cannot have McDonald's fries with ketchup in any other way. But maybe that's just me.
That's just you.
Okay. Anyway, so I like them all, but I would say ketchup is the one that I find to be the most like if there's something that I like mustard on, then I really want to have mustard on it. And there's something I like mayo on, then I really want to have mayo on it. But if there's something that I eat ketchup with, like, I can do without the ketchup. So I will toss ketchup. What do you got?
One gotta go for me, NFL related here. If you were Roger Goodell or the next commissioner of the NFL or however you want to do it, and you could figure out a way to get the networks their money correctly, which would you rather take away because it's not a great product or it's annoying to do at the same time? Thursday Night Football or the multiple times now per season, I think it's 4 or 5 this season, where there are Monday Night Football doubleheaders?
Yeah, I'd toss the Monday night doubleheader. I don't mind having a standalone game in a window. Like, you look forward to, this is the Monday night game tonight. And he's like, wait, it's 2 Monday night games tonight? Like, I got things going on Monday night, man. I can't sit and watch 2 football games on a Monday night like I can do it on a Sunday.
Well, then they do some that are like fully
like true doubleheaders.
Yeah, like a true doubleheader, which I get, but
then you're kicking off at like 9 o'clock Central time.
Oh yeah, so this upcoming
I can't
week,
stay up for that. I'm 39 years old.
This
man.
Upcoming week, the 13th,
I got kids.
There's Buffalo at Atlanta at 6:15, and then there's Chicago at Washington at 7:15. But then in week 7, a week later, Tampa's at Detroit for a 6 p.m. Eastern, or no, that's 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Central kickoff, and then Houston's at Seattle for a 9 Central kickoff.
Yeah, 9 Central's too late, man.
Yeah.
Even though that's a Seattle game, I'm not gonna make it past halftime of that, man.
Although the people in Seattle, in Seattle would be happy though,
right? Because it's a 7 o'clock. Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah, it's
for
not
them.
5 o'clock or whatever time. What time?
This
4?
is
What's if you're on the East Coast for a 8:15? It's
8:15 Eastern time. Then
it's
it would be 5:15 Pacific.
That's crazy.
So okay, based on this, then one got to go. Time zones for viewing sports.
I saw this on X the other day.
Pacific time, Mountain time, God's time zone, Central time, Eastern time. One of those? Which one is the worst?
The worst?
So that's the one got to go. Which one of those is the worst for watching sports?
Oh, that's hard. I don't know if it's Pacific or Eastern.
I think it's Eastern. I think it's Eastern because you're like, okay, Pacific, okay, man. Like, okay, you want to say 10 a.m. is too early for some NFL football. Like, I understand, but you never miss a West Coast game. All the West Coast games like, wrap up at a decent time.
But then it's like if you have a primetime game, you're cutting into the workday, and then people are all mad, and there's traffic everywhere, and it's like.
But listen to the first part of Sunday Night Football on the radio when you're sitting in gridlock on the 405, and then the game gets over, and it's 8:30. You can still do something with your night after 8:30 on Sunday night.
I will say, having lived in the Eastern time zone for literally all of my life until 2024 and moving here, I freaking love it. I love the fact that I guess it has its downsides.
Central and Mountain are the two best. And
but
I think
like,
Mountain
it's so
clears
nice.
Central.
It's so nice to get done with a primetime game, and it's still like 10:15, 10:30.
Yeah.
And when I was back home, it's 11:30, sometimes midnight.
Yeah. That Cowboys Packers Sunday Night Football game ended at midnight Eastern.
Yeah. But then I don't know. I feel like all of a sudden when you go from the late window Sunday to Sunday Night Football, you're like, oh no. It's the day's already like I just feel like I feel like there's a less time. There's not, but I feel like the end of the second window to Sunday Night Football is less of a time gap, even though it's not. It's just the feeling that I get because you used to think like, oh, well, it's 8:15, like 7 o'clock hour. I've got the entire 7 o'clock hour on the East Coast to do whatever I need to do and get ready. And then it's like, oh, it's 7 here, but it's like 6 o'clock hour instead.
Central time and Mountain time, you can watch everything. With Pacific time, you cannot kind of have to give up the Premier League. Like you're getting up at sicko hours to watch
or you're
Wimbledon
just staying up
or the English Premier League. But everything else you can watch. If you're in the Eastern time, I don't know how you watch the second game of the TNT NBA doubleheader or like a 10:30, 11 p.m. puck drop for a West Coast, Western Conference NHL playoff game. I don't know how you do it.
And they're always later than they're supposed to be too.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. Eastern time zone's the worst by far. One last quick one from the text line from the 785. One got to go cereal, Kicks, Pops, or Corn Puffs. I think I'm out on the Pops. Because I just have fonder memories of Kicks and Corn Puffs.
I'm only a Corn Puff guy, so
I'll drop the other two.
Fair
enough. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with a little NFL talk. Is there a top dog, an alpha dog in the NFL so far? I don't think there is. Prove me wrong. Next on 580 Sports Talk. 547 on 580 Sports Talk. We are just wrapping up on this Wednesday. If I ask you who the best team in the NFL is through 5 weeks, and I make you come up with an answer, so you can't give me, I don't know. How long do you have to sit and really think about who the answer to that question is for you? Because
quite a long time.
I do not know who I think the best team in the NFL is yet. Like, I know, like, absent, like, really diving into advanced metrics or anything like that. The 4-1 teams in the NFL are Buffalo, Philadelphia, Detroit, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, and San Francisco. Of those teams, I do not think you can make an argument that San Francisco, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Tampa Bay are the best team in the NFL. Ditto Pittsburgh at 3-1. I don't think on their current form you can argue it's Philadelphia. I think the argument for Philadelphia is they're still the champs. We just saw them trick off a 14-point fourth quarter home lead to Bo freaking Nix. And I'm sorry, I don't respect that. I can't sit here and say, like, that's not me saying, oh, Philadelphia is bad now. I think they're a team with some problems. I think they're a team with enough talent to solve those problems in the long haul. But right now, I cannot say I think Philadelphia's the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, this is a very, very hard thing to do.
So that leaves me with Buffalo and Detroit, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think Buffalo's defense is good enough.
No, I mean, look what they did. They let Miami hang around.
They did.
Way too long.
Way
too long.
They are 18th in the league in scoring defense. They are 28th in the league in rushing defense. They give up 5.6 yards per carry. They, to me, don't have, like, the dudes on defense. So that leaves me with the upcoming Chiefs opponent, the Detroit Lions. And that's the answer I'm getting from the text line. Text from 785 says, right now, Detroit's the hottest team. Text from 913 says, unequivocally, it's the Lions.
Yeah, it's got to be.
So
I mean,
they've
rattled off 4 straight.
Yeah, they were wretched in week 1, right? Like, we all saw week 1 at Green Bay. It was a pretty big spotlight game, and they stunk it up. They didn't play well. They didn't run the ball effectively. They turned it over. They lost that game by 2 scores, and it could have been worse. Since then, they have destroyed the Bears. They beat a healthy Ravens team in Baltimore.
Yeah.
They stomped the Browns, and they stomped the Bengals. Their defense has forced 9 turnovers over the last 4 games. And they've only turned it over twice. They are first in the league in scoring offense, which is buoyed largely by that 52-point game against the Bears, although they've gone over 34 in each of their last 4 games. Not an easy thing to do in today's NFL. They are top 10 in the league in both total offense and total defense. Like I mentioned, they're turning teams over like crazy. My concern with Detroit is the injury bug, though even they got some good news on that front this week, because it doesn't sound like Terry and Arnold's injury is as bad as feared, and instead of maybe being out for the season, they might get him back before he would have to go on IR. Like, they might get him back within 3-4 weeks, which would be huge for them. They are probably the team right now with the fewest questions about them, I think, is the best way to put it. But I don't think there's any team out there that I look at and think, oh, yeah, I don't see anybody. Like, the Chiefs have had teams like that, where it's been very obvious 5 weeks in.
Yeah.
The best versions of the Chiefs have been like, all right, forget about it. We'll see these guys. Who wants it? Who's playing for second in the AFC? Who wants this smoke in the Super Bowl? Like the run it back Chiefs in 2020 that ended up losing to Tampa Bay. Like, that was very obviously right out of the gate. That's what it looks like. I think back to 2013 when I think through 2 weeks, it was obvious that Denver and Seattle were the best teams in the NFL, and they played in the Super Bowl. Like, there are some years where you know right away who the bully on the block is. And I think Detroit probably is the closest answer to that question, because they've been the most impressive in their wins so far. I do think that they are at risk of some injury-related attrition wearing down that defense. And I do wonder how sustainable some of their offense is, because this is not a Ben Johnson offense. It's a different coordinator now, and maybe there are some more solutions that teams are going to have to figure out. And again, we're talking about, I know he's been to a Super Bowl and he's been to a conference championship game in his new place here, but we're still talking about Jared Goff. And he is not a quarterback that we consider in the same class as a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson or a Patrick Mahomes. So it's tough to say, yeah, that team quarterback by Jared Goff, they're the best. But right now, like if you were making me power rank, again, if you're making me answer that question, the answer I would give you would be Detroit.
Yeah.
But look how long it took me to get there, right? So question from the 785. This is an interesting one to kind of leave out on here. Is the NFC significantly better than the AFC? I would have said absolutely not when this season began.
Yeah.
That was before Joe Burrow got hurt. That was before every Baltimore Raven got hurt. Those were on paper 2 of the 4 or 5 best teams in the AFC, and both of them now feel like something would have to go really right for them to make the postseason.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, over in the NFC, you've had Tampa Bay play really good football. You've had Detroit look terrific. You've had at times Green Bay look really, really good. The Rams are in that mix. Washington's in that mix. It does feel like the NFC's deeper right now. And I think some of that is AFC heavies having taken a big step back. But yeah, I think that's a good point that the texter makes, that right now the NFC feels like the deeper conference. And I absolutely did not think we would be saying that 5 weeks into this season. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this episode of 580 Sports Talk. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer, what you got?
Yeah, final word for me today is the season's not lost yet for Kansas State. Very gloom and doom, though, is kind of the outlook. But what did we see last year? We talked about this in the show earlier from KU. They kind of started the same way. They ended the season on a heater. They used that momentum to take them into this season. I think there's quite a few winnable games on the schedule left to go. And if Kansas State's going to want to win the rest of the season, I think it all starts with how they call plays offensively. And although Chris Kleiman came out and said, yeah, we're not going to run Avery Johnson too much, he's our starting quarterback, I think they just need to take the Blake Barnett package out altogether. It doesn't work. It doesn't bring positives to the offensive game plan. And if they want to win this week against TCU, they have to do what they did through the air this last week.
Final word for me. You could hear frustration in the voices of both Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. We played that audio in the opening hour of today's program, their typical Wednesday media availability. Frustration because of the sloppiness, frustration because of some of the uncharacteristic mistakes, and frankly, some of the all too characteristic mistakes that some guys on this team are making. But ultimately, frustration with the fact that a team that has so often found a way to win is not finding those ways to win through the first 5 weeks of the season. Control the controllables. We say it all the time. The Chiefs have not done a good enough job controlling the things they can control to give them an opportunity to go win the game with their best player, Patrick Mahomes, on the field. In all 3 of their losses, Mahomes didn't touch the ball after the 2-minute warning in their first 2 and barely touched it for just 16 seconds in the loss against Jacksonville. So those things have to change. Chiefs have to get back to making winning plays. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.